Good afternoon. I'm from Korea University, Department of Media, Minyoung. Today we are living in a hyper-connected society, which is intricately connected through digital technology. But how are we communicating? In 2007 and 2017, we carried out 2 studies to gauge the maturity level of political discourse in Korea. People who gave their opinions with a clear rationale and who really listened to the other person's opinion were identified as communicators. In the 2007 study, the most prominent group was the group that was unable to express opinions rationally or really listen to others. The situation hasn't really changed in 2017, although we are more connected than ever with the use of more mobile devices. Interestingly, compared to 2007, the number of communicators has dropped while there are more people in the loud, noisy group, which means there has been an increase of people who express opinions logically while not listening to what the other people are saying. In the same research, I analyzed who these people were talking to when discussing politics and discovered that people sharing similar political views were connected with each other. Similar results were found when grouped by age or gender, which means that in a hyper-connected society, people tend to meet and communicate with like-minded people. And this is a bit worrisome. As you heard this morning, homogeneous groups tend to express polarized views and potentially increase social tensions between different groups. According to a 2018 report given by the Korean Institute for Health and Social Affairs, more and more Koreans believe that social conflict is a serious problem right now in Korea, deepening the social and ideological divide. Social tensions tend to increase in a mature democracy and can contribute to social development, but if they are left unresolved, the sustainability of the community could be threatened. Social conflict escalates for many different reasons. According to a study by the Korean Social Conflict Resolution Center, Koreans responded that along with financial and social inequality and politics, media coverage was also a source of tension in Korea. Since the 1990s, the number of stories on social conflicts has increased considerably. But what is more troubling than this number is the way in which these conflicts are reported and framed. Instead of showing and explaining the context of the conflict and how it started, the media merely focuses on highlighting the tension between the two opposing sides, which means that readers and viewers will only remember the conflict without really understanding why it started. And they are finally left with the perception that the gulf between the two sides is actually much bigger than it is in reality. The media tends to oversimplify even when public opinion is diverse and complex. According to a study by the Good Journalism Research Association, compared to international media, Korean media tends to write more articles presenting a single point of view. This we can see in the way conflict is reported. If only one perspective is offered for a conflicting issue with two sides, the media could be seen as taking sides. And according to a prior study, this way of reporting polarizes opinions of individuals and groups, and if this one-sided report is presented without clearly separating facts and opinion and is unable to validate the facts, the overall level of mistrust and dissatisfaction with the media will increase. According to Oxford University's Reuters Journalism Center's international study, which you probably know about, trust in the Korean media was the lowest among the countries surveyed during the recent years. In 2019, only 22% of respondents said they trusted the Korean media. In the same study, Koreans in all age brackets used video platforms like YouTube to access political news and current events more than in other countries. And the usage of other types of digital media was also higher for Koreans compared to other countries. There could be many reasons for this, but mistrust in the legacy media could be one of the reasons. I am currently studying how the elderly population in Korea uses the media and how it relates to their political views. As shown here, many of the people I interviewed said they were using social media and mobile messengers because they did not trust traditional media. They were proactively looking for an alternative information source that represented their opinions. With more digital channels to choose from, users now have more options, which is good. But choosing to hear only what one wants to hear can trigger a confirmation bias, which in turn can lead to unfiltered disinformation and polarization. This digital space can become a polarized, divided space instead of creating a diversified forum for discourse. And the problem is, when we denigrate other opinions or attack other groups, sending out hate messages, the whole debate can become extremely polarized. If tensions arising from differences are not resolved through communication and opposition and confrontation continues to divide, the community will have to bear the added political and financial burden with the psychological and social consequences that they will bring. This also goes against democratic values which aim to reach social consensus while respecting diversity. Many Koreans say they are fed up with the recent political tensions that we see in Korea, and some are saying it feels like we are living a war. This is why we need to identify the problems, create a channel of social communication so that we can, through a dialogue, narrow down our differences to reach an agreement. There are many different ways to do this. We can actively use our imagination and take action using digital technology to widen the communication channels of our intricately connected society. And journalism, which is the institutional producer of a community's story, must fulfill its function and role as a social communication channel. I would like to end with some ideas on how journalism can recover the people's trust and function as a space for public debate. Many of you probably remember the 2017 participatory survey on Korea's nuclear energy policy. To decide whether or not to close the Shingori nuclear reactors 5 and 6, the government commissioned a 3-month public deliberation panel and collected public opinion. A panel of citizens discussed the issues after collecting all the information, after which a consensus was reached and a policy recommendation delivered. It was an experiment in social communication. According to a final survey at the end of the study, all the participants said they would accept the final decision because everyone had been given a fair chance to voice their opinions. They were able to participate in the discussions. What caught my attention was the opinion of the general public who had not participated in the debate. According to a KPF survey, 80% of the respondents said they were willing to accept the final consensus policy recommended by the panel. Many Koreans had not participated in the discussions. They had only learnt about it through the media, but they said that they were open to accepting the final decision. This is a good example of a conflict that was resolved through communication, especially because even those who just followed the story through the media accepted the outcome, which helped resolve the conflict while accelerating social consensus. According to a recent KPF report, just as the media is mistrusted by users, the media also is mistrustful of its readers and viewers. As you can see in this quote, citizens are partisans, so the media believes that the readers and viewers cannot be responsible, and citizens believe the media is biased and untrustworthy too. But according to a thesis published in 2016, readers and viewers do not mistrust the media only because they think it is biased. The level of mistrust goes up when they believe the report is lacking in accuracy and objectivity and does not serve the public good. In other words, if the news reports are not professional, ethical, or of high quality, they will only trust news that are professional, ethical, and of high quality. If journalism is to regain trust and become a medium for social communication in our very divided community, when reporting on conflict issues, it must respect the basic principles of journalism to produce good news. More specifically, the media must provide a factual base, a starting point for communication and deliberation. So readers do not trust you? If there are more people chasing what they believe instead of believing in facts, then these facts must be shown in a more persuasive way. Instead of fragmenting the facts, we need explanations on why these facts are meaningful with sufficient context. The reporting process must be transparent to validate the authenticity of the story. For conflict issues and stories, the media's responsibility is to explain as much as possible. And when reporting on conflicting issues, multiple angles and perspectives need to be taken. Reporting the media's opinions as facts because of a specific bias or partisanship, or broadcasting an unedited reporter's opinion must be avoided at all costs. When reporting on conflict, the angle must be framed not on the conflict, but on the solution. Just denouncing and covering the problem will not help in finding a solution and could trigger another conflict. I am not saying the media has to give us a solution. Rather, that it must give more emphasis and value to reporting the conflict mediation process, not just focusing on the first chapter of the incident, but the middle and later chapters of the story as well. To break out of the old ways of reporting conflict, the media must put the readers before the political elite, because readers offer a more diverse perspective, whereas politicians are by definition polarized. Please believe there is an audience for quality news and good journalism, that we are all part of a community. I hope that the media will fulfill its role, which is to help better communication. Thank you for your attention.